Hello. I'm enjoying, healthily, some tofu with soy sauce. Yes, I'm starving my head off. That's why I'm eating that much. I haven't ate all day. But whatever. You might think it's too much because too much of anything is a bad thing. Whatever. But sorry, I don't eat all day. Whatever. Anyway. I was sitting in class today and I had a thought because I was thinking about moral realism. First of all, moral realism, I haven't talked about a whole lot of the other side of ethics besides normative ethics. I mean, I've talked about some normative ethics and a bit of meta ethics also, but I want to talk about moral realism, and I want to talk about moral anti-realism because my chopsticks are falling out of the plate. I want to talk about moral realism and anti-realism. Moral realism is the theory that that where one thinks that there are true moral facts in the world, and that everything appears as it really looks, and that everything are as they seem. Like some may think that we are led to believe certain moral things when they are just false things that we are led to believe falsely. A anti-realist might think that there are no real moral facts, and that you have to go by calculation all the time. That's one theory of anti-realism. You have to go by calculation all the time because there's no real moral fact that you can fall back on. But then I was thinking about metaphysics, and I was thinking about ethics together, which sometimes, but not often, come together into one thing. Because there's realism in metaphysics and there's realism in ethics. Because if you have moral realism, that's thinking that everything is a fact as it seems, and metaphysical realism is just this belief that everything that I'm seeing right now is ontologically true, and that there's actual ontological beings that I'm seeing, and not just representations or phenomena. That's basic metaphysical realism. But I'm thinking one of those can be verified. I think the metaphysical realism is a hard thing to verify. I don't know if you've been watching me since I started this channel in October, but a little while ago I made a video called Epistemological Colors, which was basically discussing a paper that I wrote, which actually got accepted and was a pretty good paper because it got accepted into a pretty good conference. But in that I talked about how I don't think that we should even discuss or even think about metaphysical color properties. Now that is a form of metaphysical skepticism because you're a skeptic of what you're seeing, and that's not metaphysical realism. Metaphysical realism, I think, is something that's very hard to verify. It's very hard to verify that what you're seeing right now is all ontological. Your computer might not be ontological. It might be a phenomena. It might be a phenomena. It's just a form of metaphysical skepticism, because metaphysical realism is so hard to verify, and there can be so many paths towards skepticism that there's so many theories. There's truth maker theories. There's so many theories that can move towards a possible metaphysical realism, but then it's so hard because you get off track, and then you'll fall into skepticism most likely. It's at some point of your philosophical life. If you're thinking about this most of your life, you will fall into metaphysical skepticism at some point in your life, and you'll think about it in some way, and then you will have faith or something. It just depends upon the person. So metaphysical realism is something that is difficult to verify. But then I think about, on the other side of the realism and of the normative things of the philosophical normativity, I think about moral realism. can we verify for sure that the facts that we live, the moral facts that we live by and we do things because of, can we be sure that those moral facts are real, or are actual specific moral facts that we are free from skepticism of? And the reason I'm making this video is because I think that metaphysical realism is so difficult to verify and to be sure of. It's so hard to be sure of what you're seeing is ontological and not just a field of representations. But I think, and I'm 99% damn sure of, that you can verify that moral facts are there and that are true and that you live by them. Why? Because I think when a person is born, they don't have a moral nature, right? There's no moral nature. It has to be taught to them. But every person that is born, from the minute that they're born, they have a conception that I want to be treated well, and I want to be treated just like everyone else wants to be treated. You know how they say treat others like you want to be treated. And I think that shows the human nature of people from the minute that they're born out of the womb. That we are formed, that our nature is a certain way, that we want to be treated nicely. We want certain things, and there's certain things that we inherently think is right. There's things that we inherently think is wrong. But since that varies from person to person, there's foundational commonality between everyone. But the reason we have so many normative theories is because there's variation. There's some sort of variation there. But we all have some commonality in what we think, how we think we should be treated, and how we think everyone should be treated, and how we think things should be done. And therefore, because of this, from the moment that man came into existence, I think because of our human nature, we have created a moral field of moral world order, as Fichte would say. Fichte says that because we have a moral world order, we can prove the external world. I don't want to go into that right now, but Fichte talks about a moral world order as God, or if there is any God, he thinks that it is a moral world order and nothing else. But not to go into 19th century Fichte philosophy, but I want to just think about that. I think that we create a moral world order because of our human nature and what we think is right. So, because we create everything, because in metaphysical realism, we can't be sure of everything because we don't create it. It might be, it might be thought that we do by some people, but most people, even atheists and agnostics, don't believe that people have created the world. When a person is born, throughout their life, they will most likely not think that they created their entire world. A person that doesn't come out of the womb and say, "I'm God." So, I think that metaphysical realism is difficult to verify, while moral realism, since we create a moral world order, as Fichte would say, since we create a moral world order, and a moral world order was created from the very moment that the first man was here, that man created the moral world order. And since human nature and humans created a moral world order because of how we want to live and variations of how people want to live, I think that's evidence enough to be a moral realist. Because I don't think that I can be skeptical of something that people of my own kind created. Can you? I don't think that we can be skeptical of something that my own kind created. If humans created something, I don't think I can be skeptical of it. And I can't think of any other argument against saying that I can't think of any argument against the fact, against saying that humans created the moral world order. I don't think that there's any evidence against that, against stating that, because if we weren't here, okay, take this from the atheist perspective. If we were not even here, and there was just, say, amoebas in the water, there's a bunch of ponds everywhere, and there's an amoeba who had a very small intellect and didn't have any nous. If you know what that means, there wouldn't be any nous in this animal, but it would just be there. Think about that. Would there be a moral world order there already? I think it takes a very high intellect, as Schopenhauer would say, a very high intellect person to create a moral world order about how people want to live, and about how various forms of people will want to live. And I just really don't think that if, let's say, even if God didn't create the world and we were just here, and there was just, paramecium here, I don't think that a moral world order would already be instated. And I think even if God was, if God was the only one that was here, God and His angels, I think that's a different case, because I think God is omniscient and all-knowing. I'm not a pantheist. I think He's all-knowing, and He has a Christian ethic and a Christian world order anyway. But I think that aside from God, I think when we're put here, we will often differ from Christian ethics, from what God will tell us to say. If you're a Christian, even Christians, many Christians will be hypocrites, and they will differ from what God tells them. But that's besides the point. Christian hypocrites. Alright, this is a long vlog. I'm gonna go, just because that was a long rant. So, if you think that there's any reason to be a moral anti-realist, please comment below, because I would like to. I don't think anything can faze me or change my mind, but if you think you can change my mind, please tell me below, because I want to hear it. And I want to either say, hey, you're right, I want to agree with you, or I want to say, what do you want? But I wouldn't say that. I'm a very accepting person. I will accept anyone's belief. But okay. I'm gonna eat my tofu. Goodbye.